All right, for more on this, let's bring in Marjorie Clifton, former consultant to the Obama campaign and principal of Clifton Consulting. Also, Chris Wilson joins us, a former pollster for the Ted Cruz campaign. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
So while Nunes said that there was no wiretapping of Trump Tower, that didn't happen. He also did say that legal surveillance was used to spy on the Trump campaign, whether intentional or not. Now, Chris, what other alarming and incidental collection, if you will, was picked up as security agencies were monitoring other targets during the last days of the Obama administration?
Well, I think, first of all, it's important that Nunes see this investigation through all the way to the end before he starts commenting on it publicly. There's too much that has the potential to come out, and it creates too much unnecessary speculation whenever he comes and makes statements like this. But second, I do think we cannot overlook the fact that this occurred, and the unmasking that's going on, the names being spread around, that is concerning. It's alarming, and the fact that it's going on needs to be investigated. And if there are people that were part of the Obama administration, that were part of the intelligence community, that were trying to embarrass members of the Trump transition team, that's a real problem. But finally, I think most importantly, the key thing here is that the Trump administration cooperate fully with this investigation, because as long as this is going on, it is a distraction, and it's going to do things like take away from his ability to have any sort of a negotiating story to pass health care, to pass tax reform, to do all the things that he promised to do that got him elected. And as long as this continues on like this and they don't cooperate and get it behind them, it's going to be a real problem for the administration.
Yeah, and with the Gorsuch hearings as well, another distraction. I mean,
exactly.
In fact, Chuck Schumer had come out and said that he believes that this should be tabled until the Russia investigation is continued, and that they should not go ahead and try to make a vote when it comes to Gorsuch. As far as Nunes is concerned, Marjorie, he said he was concerned. That's not a surprise. I mean, surveillance is not surprising. It's not surprising to be concerned.
Right.
Though it's interesting how quickly he shared the information, as Chris just mentioned, before a thorough investigation was completed, especially the fact that he shared it with the president. And then the president shared it with the rest of us. And so now the press is on the White House's back again on yet another issue. Isn't it best for them to sort of keep this quiet until they've got all their ducks in a row?
Absolutely, because, you know, as was pointed out, all it does is create unnecessary speculation and distraction. And I think the major concern with Nunes is really his ability to be impartial. And given that he worked on Trump's transition team, was a big part of, you know, the new Trump administration, I think the concern is he able to objectively look at the issue at hand, because it does involve Donald Trump. And again, his going directly to the White House and frankly making his own deductions, even like that, about the masking, we still don't really know, because the hearings haven't been held and the information is still private, as it should be, about what exactly took place and why. And until we know that, it's actually dangerous for him to go out and be making his own assumptions and reporting out, and especially to the president, because again, can he remain as a third party impartial, which is why we have John McCain and others saying maybe we need an independent committee like the 9/11 hearing.
Chris, everyone only spoke of one thing, and that was proof. After the president came out and said, you know, Obama had his phones wiretapped, and he used that as a quotation. They later said he wouldn't necessarily mean that they were wiretapped, his phones, and that there were other means of surveillance. But nonetheless, everybody wanted proof. Okay, so now Nunes comes out and he gives some proof. Is that enough to prove that the Obama administration knowingly spied on the Trump campaign?
Well, it's not yet, but it doesn't mean that it's not there, and that's really the problem. And where Nunes is I guess I'm a bit empathetic here. His name was one of the ones that was unmasked. I would imagine that would be incredibly shocking to him. He's a part of the administration. And then you've got to think through, well, was his name unmasked to try and get him off the committee and out of the investigation?
Interesting.
You've got to understand, he's got to start to question the motives of those who did this. I mean, it's a really tough position for him to be in. I understand the point that maybe he should pull himself out, but at the same time, if he's being pushed out by having his name revealed, that's a bigger problem in and of itself. And so the whole situation right now is a problem. That's why I think everyone needs to take a step back, keep it quiet, keep it private, stop speculating publicly, and then conduct the investigation.
Yeah. I mean, the public is going to speculate now, but it's because we've been given material to speculate about. Marjorie, where does the investigation into Russian election interference and the Trump surveillance then go from here?
Well, I mean, again, the hearings have to take place. There's still a lot of information that is being held undercover that is not for public information. So, you know, from what I understand, the hearings are going to take place in the House Intelligence Committee. There isn't plans for a third party, even though there are calls for it. And frankly, Democrats have to comply and they have to participate. Otherwise, they will not get any access. If they decide to boycott or something like that, they wouldn't get access to all the files and the information. But I think the key thing is not that what is in question is whether the Obama administration was spying on them. It was that, I mean, the information was incidentally uncovered as they were looking for other things and unfortunately implicated some of the people in the Trump administration. And I think this is important. This is not I know it's become political. It's hard to say it's not political. But the issue of other countries engaging in our electoral process is one that is fundamental to all of our parties. So I think it's absolutely crucial that we do uncover the actual and real information.
Okay, and so then how does the White House go from here, Chris? I mean, where do they stand? Do they continue to be open, or do they try to make this go away until they get their investigation completed? Typically, in sort of a criminal investigation, if you would, you would essentially leave all that information, all your evidence, you'd keep it to yourself until you go to trial. Do they tell us their evidence as the investigation unfolds? And then who ends up being held accountable in the end? There has to be accountability.
Well, there does, and I think whoever revealed the information, the unmasking, I mean, that's really problem number one. Problem number two is, why did this occur? If it was because it's part of the investigation into foreign involvement in the elections, that's one thing. If it wasn't, there were ulterior motives, I mean, that's something that still is yet to come out. But I get back to the point of what really needs to happen is the Trump administration has got to cooperate. They've got to do it quickly. They've got to make sure that it is thorough, and to be able to show that this is, or hopefully show that this is something that can be put behind them and they can still govern. Because if it goes deeper than that and it drags on, then you can put the rest of the agenda of the Trump administration behind you, because this is going to dominate the news.
All right, the Comey hearings, those continue next week, so I'm sure we'll be getting plenty more information out of that.
Never dull.
Chris and Marjorie, thank you very much. We have another exciting week ahead of us.
Thank you.